Hello and welcome to the Movie Podcast. My name is Anthony. Thank you all for joining us today. As always, I'm joined by my I don't have a nickname for you guys anymore. I'm just going to say my colleagues. My two colleagues.
Wow. We got demoted.
Colleagues.
Damn.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Not even co-hosts anymore.
Yeah.
We're just colleagues.
These two guys I know, maybe.
that work on the show.
These acquaintances.
There we
These
go. There we go.
acquaintances.
Okay. Yeah, that's a step up, I guess.
Daniel and Shay. We'll start off with you, Daniel. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Happy Easter, happy Ramadan, happy Passover, whatever you are celebrating this weekend. I hope it's happy and hope it's filled with good times and good food, you know?
Definitely. And Shay, how are you doing?
He has risen.
He has risen. I'm rising right
Is
now.
that how you guys greet each other on Easter Sunday? I just want to make sure.
Yeah, it's like growing up in a Catholic household in school, whenever somebody said may the force be with you, I was like, and also with you,
yes.
No, we don't greet each other saying he is risen. I hope
That'd
not.
be so much cooler, though. I feel like that adds a little bit.
Hey, he's risen.
Morning, everybody. He has risen.
Raise your hands up. He's up.
Raise the roof.
Raise your hands like Jesus.
We do wake up like we're being risen from our beds.
Like from the crucifixion.
Are you guys
Yeah.
being possessed? Is that what's happening? I just want to make sure.
A little bit.
Is The Exorcist based on what I've seen? You guys do?
The Exorcist is based on facts.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's true.
On factual events.
Sure.
Yeah.
If you're not a bit possessed, you're not holy.
There you go.
Yeah.
You heard it here first, folks. That's
If you're not a bit possessed,
Father Anthony there.
you're not holy.
Yeah. That's a shirt as well, I think.
It is.
Yeah,
It is a
that
shirt.
is a shirt.
I like it.
Yeah.
But how's Ramadan going for you, Shay? I know you've been on a roll.
I've been on a roll.
Get it.
Yeah.
You've been on the old Ramadan roll.
I'm just it's like when you go to like a specific restaurant, they give you that coupon card that you got to punch in every time you buy something. Every day
Yeah.
I'm just like one more day of fasting. I'm loving it. No, it's been a great we're just past 2 weeks now. We're past the halfway point, and it's been great. It's been a great time. I think the holy month of Ramadan is very special to Muslims, obviously everywhere around the world, and it's a great time just to feel connected. Usually the first maybe couple days are really tough with fasting, but after a while, I'll be honest, you become so used to it. It comes to the point where even after I open my fast at night, I forget that I can eat, and I'm just like sitting there, and I'm like, man, I'm really hungry still. I'm like, oh wait, I can eat now. Like now is the time to eat. So no, but it feels good. It's been a great month so far.
Yeah,
It's nice because these things, these holy events don't always fall on around the exact same time every year. So it's interesting
It's like
that
the
kind of
Toronto
everything.
playoffs and holy months this year have just kind of
Everything just
Kind of
let's
all
sync
played
up this
together,
year,
yeah.
guys.
all the religions are in it to win it.
Yes.
Only one will win.
Who's walking away this year?
No, why is it a holy war? No. How are you though, Anthony? How's your weekend going?
It's been good. We've had some warm weather, which has been nice. We got to go to a lot of cool things this week, seen a lot of cool movies for the past 2 weeks. Again, there was a lot of sports happening. So you got the Blue Jays, you got the Raptors, the Maple Leafs. So it's just good time of the year,
It is.
It's
April's
April.
also April's like the calm before the storm. So it's been quieter for us on our end in terms of movies, even though we've been seeing still a bunch of movies every week. But it's really May that kicks off that major movie season and show season, and it's going to be really interesting next couple months, starting very soon with Doctor Strange, which we have a lot planned for. So we're excited to share more.
We're doing
lot of stuff.
Our strange signals. You were saying that in Italy they had to remove the strange hand signal because it meant the devil. So they had to change it to like another hand.
They changed it to another symbol.
It was literally
but
it's
it's
just a little flip. That's it.
Yeah, it's just so funny though, because on that poster, so if you want to see what we're talking about, on one of the new Doctor Strange posters, he has his hand up, and it's like doing it almost looks like he's doing a Spider-Man pose, or like the pose I always see them do in Coda when they say
I love you.
I love you.
Right.
No, I was just saying.
But Yeah. But like it just looks so strange because only one hand was doing it. So like the poster wasn't symmetrical, which always looks strange to me. So now he's like doing some other like other hand.
He's just doing,
I think he's doing finger guns. Yeah, he's doing finger guns instead.
And there's little tiny bullets coming out of at the ends too.
little magic bullets coming out.
As always, you can catch a brand new episode of the Movie Podcast every single Monday, and watch out throughout the week for our review episodes on all the latest movies and series. Make sure to follow us at the Movie Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Letterboxd. And don't forget to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and join our Discord and write into the show at hello@TheMoviePodcast.ca. We can also be found on YouTube at youtube.com/TheMoviePodcast, where we'll have videos of our reviews, and sometimes we're on those reviews as well. So we're going to try to bring more video content into our presence. So look forward to that. And you can find all that information in our show notes with all the links and more. I'm going to kick it to Daniel for the mailbag. Oh, no mailbag this week, but for announcements.
No mailbag.
Well, we actually have. Do we have a comment on our podcast page that just came in that I noticed?
Oh yeah, let's read it. Let me read it for you. I'll get it for you guys right now. But in the meantime, while I'm pulling that up, I did want to say we have a lot of great episodes, as I always say, on the Movie Podcast feed that you can listen to right now. We just dropped our review for The Northman, which is the film's going to be coming out on Friday. We loved the movie. You could hear us talk about why we did on the feed right now on the PED. We also have a review out for Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore, Sonic Movie 2, and I really want to encourage you all, now that this film is playing everywhere, go check out our interview with actor Ke Huy Quan, who plays Wayman in Everything Everywhere All at Once. He is genuinely one of the nicest humans we've had the pleasure of talking to. We haven't been able to talk about this interview yet, like on a main episode of the show, just because we've been off for a couple weeks. But if you're listening to the show, please go check out that interview. Again, I can't stress enough how kind and amazing Ke is as a person, and he is so damn good in this movie. Go check it out because it's awesome. And you could also watch the video version of it, like Anthony said, on YouTube as well. Anything else that I want to plug? Yeah, our Morbius review is out too. If you want to go check that out, if you're feeling brave, you can go listen to our review. But like Shay said, we do have a new review out on the Movie Podcast Apple Podcasts feed from Nate Drake, who I believe stars in the PlayStation video game series as well. He says, really likable guys who provide some great review commentary and thoughtful interviews. 5 stars. Love it. Thank you so much for that. And of course, like Anthony said, if you want to give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, the show notes has our link to our show, or however you're listening to this, drop us a 5 stars. It really helps us grow and get our show in front of more people, because we really want to keep building a great big movie community here with the Movie Podcast. This week on the Movie Podcast feed, you'll be able to hear our thoughts on The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, which is the new Nicolas Cage film. You'll be able to hear our thoughts on The Bad Guys, which is a brand new DreamWorks animation film. And then on Friday, I had the pleasure of speaking to the Polar Bear team, not the Polar Bear itself, sadly, but the Polar Bear team from the new Disney Plus documentary series, which is going to be on Disney Plus April 22nd, this Friday, for Earth Day. We had the pleasure of talking to, let me just grab their names because I don't want to mess them up, Alistar Fotherhill and Jeff Wilson. So I really am thankful for them for joining us on the show, and I really implore you all to check out that documentary on Friday on Disney Plus, because it's a really interesting one, really emotional, very moving, and it's just beautiful. It's one of those docs that I was watching on my TV, and I was just kind of lost in the imagery of the nature of the North Pole, and then seeing these bears as well. So they put their heart and soul into these films, and I definitely want you to check out the interview, and watch the documentary, then check out our interview, because it's a great one. That's all I got for you guys.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you. I think what was it, last week or 2 weeks ago, we did do a little picture of Shay being eaten by a polar bear.
Yes, that was my original pitch for the album. Sorry, I guess the podcast artwork, but we did not get that cleared through the polar bear community.
It was Ramadan.
They decided
Ramadan, so they said
yeah.
No. They said we can't eat. We can't eat.
Yeah. That's exactly what those polar bears said.
Was it though?
No, because it's currently actually daytime all day in the North Pole, so they have not been able to yet.
Get your calendars right.
No sun setting yet there. But that's all I got for you. I mean, I think there's a lot going on still, but there's going to be even more very, very soon. We're excited to share more. Oh, also, we have some great merch that we also just dropped on our website. You could check it out in our show notes below. We're partnering with the good folks over at Bonfire for shirts and long sleeve t-shirts. So there's lots there to check out in a lot of different colors. I'm wearing one right now, which you can't see, but I can tell you that it's very, very comfortable. So
but if you watch our Fantastic Beasts review for Secrets of Dumbledore, you'll see me wearing a green one.
Yes. So there's lots of different color options. They're very comfortable. And of course, if you use the promo code MOVIE, you get 10% off your order. And it goes a long way in helping us keep our lights and the mics on here at the show. And that's a great way to support the show and also look stylish while doing it. So definitely do that.
Thank you, Daniel. So everyone, go buy a t-shirt after this episode and watch the Polar Bear interviews that are coming out this week.
That's it.
Yeah. Let's get into the news.
It sounded okay on my end.
It did sound okay.
But again, we'll see once the edit comes out.
First news story. This is going to piss off a lot of those Snyderverse people.
Oh boy.
Warner Brothers Discovery exploring overhaul of DC Entertainment. This is coming from Brett Lang and Matt Donnelly of Variety. The new owners of all things Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman are exploring an overhaul of DC Entertainment. Multiple sources close to the situation told Variety. The move would potentially affect DC's feature film development in Warner Brothers Pictures Group, streaming series at Warner Brothers Television, and creative arm within DC proper, all in an effort to have disparate elements more closely aligned in order to maximize the value of the superhero stable, one often seen as punching up against Marvel. Discovery insiders believe that although DC has achieved cinematic success with recent films such as Aquaman and The Batman, it lacks a coherent creative and brand strategy. Discovery believes that several top-shelf characters such as Superman have been left to languish and need to be revitalized. They also believe that projects like Todd Phillips' Joker and Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn are a shining example of how second-build characters from the DC library can and should be exploited. So this is huge news because, we just came out of the Batman and we have Aquaman coming out and Shazam and all these DC and The Flash. And we're just wondering how these movies will ever interact with one another, even Batgirl, which is coming out on HBO Max. So, with this news and this idea that let's make it cohesive and let's make it more streamlined, very similar to the Marvel universe that we've come accustomed to. Let's build it very similar to that. I'm going to start off with Daniel and kind of get his insights on where he is with this theme of the DC universe being kind of put into a cohesiveness.
Listen, I think it's no surprise that the last 10 years, literally, of the Warner Brothers DC film world has been everywhere. Warner Brothers was in a really good spot for a few years with Nolan at the helm of Batman because they weren't really focused on building other properties. We almost had a Justice League movie in 2009 that almost happened with George Miller directing. And Armie Hammer's Batman. But it's interesting where we are now because, we saw them try and launch Green Lantern in 2011. And that was kind of a taste, whether you like it or not, of how critics were responding to what's to come with DC, right? That Green Lantern film was not great. It had some cool elements in it. And then you get Man of Steel, which is a very, I would say, controversial film in the sense that it's beloved by a lot, it's disliked by a lot, and Henry Cavill as Superman was never really given his moment, his time in the sun to really become that beacon of hope, because in his next film, wasn't even a solo film, they killed off his character. And that's a lot to do in one movie. You look at Batman vs. Superman, you're introducing a weird political plot against Superman. You're having Batman introduced, who's not just a new Batman, he's a Batman who's been around for like 20 plus years. You have my goodness, you have Doomsday, you have Lex Luthor, you have so many things being introduced, and then you have Superman die, only to be resurrected in Justice League. And it's like, you're never given any time to really see Superman become that beacon of hope that we always want him to be, right? Or not enough time to kind of like relish in it. And then those films do poorly at the box office, and DC is left to scramble after Batman vs. Superman doesn't do well, after Suicide Squad isn't received well. It's probably one of the most hated comic book movies I've seen in a long time. And then Wonder Woman comes, and yes, we're going to get back on track. And then Justice League comes out, and obviously that's a whole other story. That's a whole other thing we've spoken about for years on the show. But here we are now, and we've had some really amazing movies like the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker as a show set within the DCEU, but they're very much their own kind of they're carving out their own part of that world. They're within the DCEU, but they're also their own kind of worlds within it. And then you have something like Aquaman, which did really well, was received pretty okay, and was a fun movie. And now we have everything going on with The Flash, and then Ezra Miller, and then we have Michael Keaton coming back as Batman, and then Ben Affleck kind of dipping. So it's just such a mess. And then obviously you have to compare and look at Marvel, where Marvel, for better or for worse, you're going to get a consistent movie out of them, right? You're going to get at least a consistently good time out of a Marvel movie. And they're building a universe. I don't necessarily think every DC film has to be within the same world. I don't think you have to tell a story that's all within the same universe. I don't, like, no offense, I would love to keep Matt Reeves's Batman universe just Batman characters, because I think that just works really well for that universe. But who knows what's going to happen? Right now, we're at a weird point where we're just waiting. And I'm not surprised that Discovery's coming in after this merger, and they're looking and being like, okay, we got to do something, because we're sitting on some of the most iconic characters of all time, and we're not doing anything with them. You know, on the TV side, yeah, you know, DC's doing a lot, but you have Superman who's just sitting there. You've had Henry Cavill, who was casted as Superman back in 2011, or no, sorry, he was cast in 2010 as Superman, and we've gotten 2.5 movies with him. You know, or even feels like less, because he's only comes in at the end of Justice League, and Batman vs. Superman, he doesn't really have a lot of lines. So it's like we're sitting on a character that is the most known and iconic character and beloved superhero of all time, and we're not doing anything with him. And we got to. Like, Superman should be number one priority to Warner Brothers right now. And I really hope with this merger, sorry, I've been going on a long time. I really hope with this merger that they see the potential they have in their library. They see the success they've had with a director like Matt Reeves coming in and being like, listen, you want me to tell a Batman story? He came on in 2017. His film didn't come out till 5 years later, because they were crafting and working on telling a Batman story that people would resonate with. And look at the success the Batman has had this year. You know, it's out today on iTunes. I'm jealous of us, because we're recording this on Easter Sunday. I'm jealous of us tomorrow being able to watch the Batman at home. But it's just funny that, you know, that movie took time to make, and I hope that we get a creator, we get a director, we get a visionary come in to do the same thing for Superman. But I also think the biggest thing Warner Brothers needs is a Kevin Feige. You need a Kevin Feige to come in there and start steering the ship. Regardless, like I said, regardless if this is a cohesive shared universe, it doesn't have to be. You could have a shared universe going on, but you could also tell one-off stories like Joker was, like the Batman was, and it's going to be its own thing with spin-offs. You don't need to have like a big universe telling its own stories, because even if you look at what Marvel's doing right now, a lot of their shows and movies don't really reference the other ones. Like, you have Moon Knight, which is telling a story within the Marvel universe, but it's not referencing anyone else right now. And like, that works. Like, you could just tell a story, but you need someone to come in there. You need a producer. Don't put a director in charge of it, because the director is only going to put their vision. You need to have a producer, an actual film producer, come in there and be like, I'm the president of DC Films. I'm going to help steer the ship, and I'm going to help greenlight projects. I'm going to help put proper creators and proper directors at the helm of telling these stories and let them tell their stories. Don't get involved with the bullshit of the studio and all of that, because that also, unfortunately, plays a big factor into the quality of what happened to a lot of DCEU films over the last few years. But yeah, there's a lot of work to be done, and I hope Discovery really comes in there and helps steer the ship.
If I can ask you a question, Daniel, who would you like to take control of this whole world?
And that's the thing. I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, if you asked me who Kevin Feige was 20 years ago, like, I would have only said, oh, I see him in the credits for X-Men or for Spider-Man. You have to put somebody who I think wants to be there. I I've seen a lot of people say, put James Gunn in charge, or put Zack Snyder back in charge, or like, no, these guys are directors. They want to make movies. You got to put, like, that's why you don't see Kevin Feige directing movies, because you need somebody who's going to be the overseer of what's going on. The temperature checker, the person who's going to make sure that everything is working smoothly. You don't get to where Marvel is. We're pumping out shows and pumping out movies, 4 movies a year, 5 shows a year now, without having somebody at the helm. And now he has a lot of other people working with him, Kevin Feige, because that's a lot to do for one person. Mm-hmm. You got to get a producer in there, somebody who is young and hungry and wants the DC universe to succeed. I don't think you put a director in there. You need to get a proper film producer to really help steer that ship, because this is DC Comics. This is like the original comic book when you think about it for a lot of people, right? Like, this is where comics begin and end, is Action Comics with Superman. Like, that is not begins and ends, but I mean, like, that is the starting point of what popular comic books look like. And Superman, still, that Superman symbol, I'm looking at it on Shay's wall right now. I'm looking at one behind me right now. That is one of the most known symbols in the entire world. You show that to anybody in the world, no matter what country they're from, what background they are, they know who that is. Mm-hmm. And you have that in your library, and you're not doing anything really with it. You have to.
Yeah. Jeff Johns was supposed to be that person, right? And then
and it's funny that
all his stuff came out.
Yeah, and it's funny that Jeff Johns as well worked with Kevin Feige for Richard Donner. Yeah, he worked on Richard Donner's production company, and Jeff went to DC. Kevin went the Marvel route, but Jeff still, again, even though he's credited as producer, he's not a producer like Kevin Feige is. He's been working in the comic book worlds, which, again, that's great because you want to take inspirations from the comics, but you need a producer. You need a film producer at the helm of this. That's the only way of doing it.
What about you, Shay? How do you feel about this merger?
Yeah, I mean, I think Daniel touched on everything. But no,
sorry.
No, it's okay. No, I'm just joking. I think that what it really kind of comes down to is you need a producer. You just need someone who's passionate about DC Comics. You need someone who's going to tell the story. And I was seeing tweets about, like, oh, Jim Lee should do it. Jim Lee's an artist. Why would we have him as a producer?
Yeah. What's Jim Lee going to do?
Yeah, you need somebody that you're going to be like, who the hell is this? Because that's what's going to actually make DC kind of move forward. You need somebody you've never heard of. Just like how we had never heard of Kevin Feige, we have to have never heard of this producer. But this producer needs to come from a good background. They've at least had to have produced some good movies, and just they need to have a vision. Whether you want to do a DCEU or not, I mean, like, at this point, it doesn't matter. Like whatever WB decides to overhaul with, they got to stick with that one thing. And I think that's kind of what's made their universe or their whole bag so trash. And clearly what's worked so far is the standoff single films, like you doing a Joker 2, you doing another Batman, so on and so forth. If they maybe just make now the Aquaman series, Shazam series, or wherever they're kind of going forward, their own stories, not connected to the other world, sure, you can name drop a superhero in there, why not? But make it your own thing. That might work. Now, if in the next 10 years you want to go back and retry the whole shared universe thing, you have my blessing. But just go in not trying to beat Marvel. Go in trying to make your own thing.
Yeah, I think, I was just watching Moneyball recently, and I was just like, I was thinking of that line Brad Pitt says, and he's like, if we try to play like the Yankees in here, we're going to lose to the Yankees out there. And that literally is what DC did. And when they announced back in 2014, I'll never forget this day. It was just a random ass day. We just came off of Marvel putting on their first showcase. I don't know if you guys remember this. Back in 2014, Marvel put on a showcase in October where they announced, hey, this is what the next phase of the Marvel film world is going to be. And they announced Captain America Civil War, or Serpent Society at first. They announced, we're doing the Black Panther film. We're doing a Captain Marvel film. We're doing Infinity War Part 1, Part 2. And that was such a celebration. And then you have DC coming out a couple weeks later saying, hey guys, this is a press release. And then we find out, hey, Ray Fisher is going to be Cyborg. Ezra Miller is going to be the Flash. And it's just so unceremoniously announced. And you're like, where's the fanfare of this? Again, and I know this is in the past, but we're still paying for the sins of that now, because we have a Flash film that just got delayed. We have an Aquaman film that was just delayed. We have Shazam coming out this year, which we're excited for. But there's just and then Warner Brothers, again, I feel bad for them sometimes, because yes, a lot of stuff that happens to them is self-inflicted, but also you have a PR nightmare that happens with some of their leads in their films, right? Where we're seeing with Amber Heard right now, with Ezra Miller right now, with everything going on with Ray Fisher right now. And then everything happening with the Harry Potter side, like they have a lot of PR nightmares that happen on them, and it sucks. And the Flash was supposed to be that reset points for this universe. I can't see them wanting to move forward with another Flash film after this. Again, depends on how well the Flash movie does, of course, but there's just a lot of controversy surrounding it right now, and it's going to be interesting when that film finally does come out next June, is it? It's sure. I think it was next June, because I think Aquaman's in March. Like, we're waiting all of this time. It's going to be almost 9 years to the day of Ezra Miller being announced as the Flash, and this is only his first movie in 9 years, where we've gotten how many iterations and multiversal events happening on the Marvel side. It's just, as all of us, three of us are DC fans. I grew up a DC fan first. It's crazy to me that like how poorly and how mishandled this IP is. And that's not saying I was really enjoying what Zack Snyder was doing, but also I've made my peace with, even though I was enjoying it, that's still not the direction I would have wanted to see this universe go, but I was still enjoying his movies. But now it's like we have this weird divide where it's like restore the Snyderverse or reboot it. At this point, I don't think Zack Snyder's not coming back to the DC world. I don't think
Ben Affleck's not coming back. I don't even think Henry Cavill's coming back, because at this point, this dude is doing other stuff. He's doing The Witcher. He's doing other films and shows. Like, I don't think he needs to suit up as Superman anymore. As much as I want him to, I also feel like his time has kind of passed. It's been 10 years. Like, Man of Steel came out in 2013, and we haven't gotten a sequel to this movie yet. How crazy is that? We haven't gotten a sequel to a Superman movie that came out in 2013. It's been longer now than it was between Superman Returns of Man of Steel. That was only 7 years. It's going to be 10 years next year, and there's not even a green light for a movie. Like, this is craziness. Like, they need to. Like, if I was Discovery coming in there, that would 100% be like, yeah, guys, like, what are we doing here? Like, green light the movies that you want. I would love to see what Todd Phillips does with another Black Label DC film. Like, again, I remember us talking about, I would love to see a Lex Luthor movie. Like, just call it Lex and do something cool with Lex in the 80s. Lex, and it takes place in the 80s, and he's just like crazy, drugged out dude, and coke, and Bradley Cooper's Lex Luthor. Like, I would love to see that. I think that would be a lot of fun. But that's just one wild offshoot idea. But when it comes to the Justice League, you don't have any more iconic characters than what's in that Justice League, right? And I can't believe that we really haven't gotten much from it. When we look at what's happening on the Marvel side, like, everyone knows who Moon Knight is now. Everybody knows who, all these other characters are within the DC. Like, Wanda and Vision are like some of the most popular characters in the world right now. If you told me that 10 years ago, I would have not have believed you at all. But people are stoked for a Doctor Strange movie. Again, I've loved Doctor Strange my whole life, but it's crazy to me that Doctor Strange 1 made more money than Justice League and is like one of the most hyped movies of the year. And it's Doctor Strange. And like, it's crazy to me that this is the turn, and that's just the power of Marvel handling their brands and their characters with the respect and that they deserve, right? That's just where we are right now.
Warner Brothers, if I can like put an analogy, is literally that drunk uncle at the family reunion. There's, the good uncle that you go to, and that's Marvel, and DC is the drunk uncle that, you tend to watch, but it's very messy. You know what I'm saying? Like this
he gives you money. He gives you money.
Yeah, he gives. Yeah. But they peaked in high school, right? Like they had their Dark Knight moment. They were the belle of the ball for a long time. Everyone wanted to be Warner Brothers when they had Nolan in the Dark Knight, and now we're here.
My biggest fear is the Batman and it being like put into this mess, and hoping that, I don't know, Matt Reeves has some sort of contractual like paragraph saying my movie will not be part of this universe. I'm just hoping that happens. Like I just can't see that Batman or that universe being thrown into this multiverse that they want to create. I think the idea of a multiverse, they need to like stall it for a good 5 or 6 years, 7 years, and then just tell individual stories. And then you pick one movie out of these individual stories to start a multiverse where it kicks off, like just one movie. It could be a Joker film. It could be a Black Adam film where it just starts. But I think this idea of trying to catch up to Marvel and create their version of a multiverse is not going to end well for them. Like even now, like even this idea of rebranding and putting this is a 10-year like scenario that they need to go through. And I just can't see it happening anytime soon.
I totally forgot Black Adam was going to be coming out too. That was supposed to be this year, and it got pushed to this fall, I want to say. Let me double check that. But yeah, it's like Black Adam's going to be coming out, and that's within the world of the DCEU still, I think, right?
It seems like
they've said so. I mean, as of right now.
But it's not part of Shazam's world?
Yeah. Right? Yeah, or... yet. I mean, and he isn't going to apparently be in... Shazam's not going to show up in this film. This film got pushed to October of this year. It's supposed to be July. Yeah. And yeah, it's this is kind of where we are. And again, this was a movie that was announced back in like 2006, and we're only getting it now. And again, The Rock's been busy. There's been a lot of different levels that this film has gone through, but it just seems like where are we going with these characters that we're doing? Again, like I just wish there was a plan. For so long we've always been saying, what's the plan? And Warner Brothers will announce movies like, oh, remember Ava DuVernay is going to do a New Gods movie. That's not happening anymore. Yeah. They said there was going to be a Green Lantern movie that was supposed to come out in 2018. That didn't happen.
John Stewart,
like like it was. It's like we just have things that are announced and thrown at the wall and they don't happen. And it's just so like, I just feel like even now with Michael Keaton returning again, I love Michael Keaton as Batman, but it's just such a strange move to see him coming back, because it's like this movie is from 30 years ago. Mm-hmm. And is that like, that'll get older fans excited, but are you going to is Michael Keaton's Batman going to get like younger fans more interested?
No. It's not like you're not going to see Michael Keaton as the Batman you want him to be because of his age.
He's going to be the older Batman. We've already gotten an older Batman with Ben Affleck, right?
We also saw like recently his suit leaked, and it's just like, well, his suit looks like very similar to what he wore. Well, we'll say the 90s Batman with the one neck piece. I'm like, why can't you just give it like at that time? It made sense because the technology and fashion, they're just
let him move his neck.
Let him move his neck. The guy's like in his 60s, and you're just like stiff Batman.
Yeah,
give me a break.
Yeah, it's very interesting. We're in a really interesting spot. So I'm curious. Again, we've seen a lot of change over the years doing this show. We've started doing the show 3 years ago. I'm really curious to see where we're going to be a year from now after this merger is now finally done, and I'm curious to see what changes have been announced. We still don't have a sequel announced officially for the Batman, but we know one's going to be coming, hopefully soon. But it's going to be an interesting. It's going to be an interesting couple of years, or at least an interesting year, seeing what changes Discovery is really going to start to implement. Because I think what Warner Brothers has going on right now with all of their content, you look at HBO Max. We haven't really spoken about either. How have you only launched one show on HBO Max, like a DC show? You know what I mean? Like, again, I'm not talking about Young Justice because that was more like that was before HBO Max's time, that show. But you have HBO Max. You've launched a Peacemaker show, which we loved. I love that show. And again, it was successful off the success of the Suicide Squad, which critically did really well. How don't you have other DC shows ready to go? Like we had Disney Plus on DC Plus. We had Disney Plus drop November 2019.
Don't give them ideas.
And then DC Plus, we had that for a little while, which
DC
it was
Universe,
DC Universe, yeah. We had Disney Plus drop in 2019, and it launches with The Mandalorian. And HBO Max didn't get Peacemaker until this year, 2 years later, right? Like you need like that content. That platform is great, but it's starving for original content. And we know the Batman has spinoffs coming with the Arkham one and the Penguin, but where's your Harry Potter stuff on there? I don't think they could do because for some reason they sold the TV rights to NBC. But where's all your other long platform stuff? I mean, realistically, as much as I'd want a Superman movie, you could still get away with doing a Superman long series show there too. Like there's so many options of telling these stories, and they have all the tools they need to do it. They just need to put proper directors and actors and writers into the fold to tell these stories.
Yeah, man. Like, I don't know. I'm just done with DC at this moment. Other than the Batman, everything else is just like, until something happens where we see a good change in actual leadership. Because right now it's almost like run and gun. Let's get this out. It doesn't matter. Let's get this out. And it's not being cohesive enough. You're not going to build the fan base that is, and you're going to build a toxic fan base, and you see that with the Snyderverse.
We do,
fan base,
and like,
right?
and here's the thing: we like Zack Snyder. I'm a big Zack Snyder fan. I wasn't in love with what he did on the DC side of things, but when I see fans clamoring for his Justice League Part 2 and 3, and I'm like, though, like I know why Warner Brothers got scared, because if he's telling us, Lois and Batman get together and have a kid, I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Like why? Like people like we just want to see these characters the way we love them. Like not everything needs to be a different take or to subvert expectations. Like you don't need to do that with everything. Like I just feel like how I feel like the new trend is like, okay, let's have Superman, but he's evil now. And people are like, yeah, but he's not really evil. He has more of a dark edge to him. Like, no, but why can't he just be like the happy, hopeful Boy Scout that Superman always is? Because we haven't seen that on the movie side in so long. Even Superman Returns in 2006, it was Superman trying to find his way back to the worlds. It's like why? Like I don't want to see the nightmare worlds. And again, this is me talking personally, so you could send me hate all you want. But like I just want to see a world where these heroes can do good and save people and save the world and interact with one another. Like I don't want to see Batman teaming up with Joker and Deathstroke and having to take down an evil Superman. It's like this, like why? Like that's not fun. Like that's
complicated.
Just it's interesting, sure. Like that post-credit scene or that the ending of Zack Snyder's Justice League, it's interesting, but I'm like, I wouldn't trade that for a good Justice League movie.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't trade that for a fresh, hopeful Superman or Justice League movie. Hell no.
We'll see what happens in the next couple of years, and we'll have the information as it goes along. But let's move on to our next story, because I'm tired of the DC.
Yeah, Batman's out today on iTunes and Crave.
Yes,
and HBO
which is
Max.
amazing.
And HBO Max.
Second news story: Amazon hosts first ever Prime Video presents Canada event spotlighting 10 new Canadian originals, and this is coming from Bradley Shankar of Mobile Syrup,
Friend of the show.
Amazon held its inaugural Prime Video Presents Canada on April 13th, an upfront style event to spotlight many of the streamers' upcoming Canadian originals at Toronto's Massey Hall. Prime Video executives and partner talent took to the stage to unpack the TV shows and films that they're working on here in Canada. I'm going to kick it to Daniel, where he's going to kind of like go over what we were actually part of this event, which was really amazing. But I'm going to kick it off to Daniel, and he's going to tell us more about it.
Yeah, so again, thank you to our friends at Prime Video Canada for inviting this inviting us to this first and foremost. We were honored to get the invite, and I think what's so cool with Canadian content is that we're seeing a lot more of it in the world. I think when you look at Schitt's Creek and how that kind of took the world by storm, I think every streamer and studios looking at that, and I think they want to have that success. And I think it's cool that we're looking now outside of the borders of the US to tell great stories. And I think Prime Video first and foremost said that at their event, that they said, they're committed to telling Canadian stories and also supporting Canadian storytellers, and that was great. Also, I just wanted to give a shout out to Brad Shankar as well. We see him at so many events, but we haven't spoken to him yet. But Brad, if you're listening to this, hopefully we get to meet you soon, man, because we're big fans of you.
We got to wave one time, I think, from Brad.
Yeah, we just got to call Brad. Come on up, hey man.
I was
how
waving,
you doing?
And Brad waved back, and I was like, "We'll meet." And then that was it.
But yeah, so we got the chance to attend this event last week at Massey Hall, which again, iconic stage, iconic venue for Canadians. And we just got to see a lot more than I thought we were going to see. I think growing up in Canada, we're so used to, our exports being sports and hockey and that kind of stuff, but you see the shows that we had growing up were a lot of things that were going to be CBC, and you kind of get used to the quality and the look of a CBC show. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but that's kind of always what we thought Canadian TV was. And then you have shows that kind of break those molds, like Kim's Convenience and Schitt's Creek and so many more. And then Prime Video is like, you know what, we're going to double down and tell these stories. So seeing not just seeing the relaunch of Kids in the Hall, but actually seeing all of them on stage and seeing Mark McKinney and Dave Foley and Bruce, and all these guys on stage again. Like, it's awesome to see that. And they were just talking about relaunching the show. We had the chance to see a show from Mark Little called Gary and His Demons, which we were just cackling of laughter at. Shay, especially. Shay, you were a big fan of Gary and His Demons.
Man, that little teaser we saw from that show absolutely made me laugh. It reminded me of if I really liked Rick and Morty. And Anthony is sitting there like, you bastard. I have nothing against Rick and Morty. I've tried it. For some reason, doesn't stick with me. But here's the thing. This show, at least so far, looks like it was sticking because it was making me laugh.
But yeah, I had vibes of Rick and Morty and Harley Quinn, and like the Boys Diabolical animated series. We got to see the cast and meet the cast and the show from the lake, which looks really great as well too. The Unsolved Murder of Beverly Lynn. This is a murder that took place in Oshawa, Ontario in 1974. It's a 4-part documentary series, and this looked fantastic. Well, it looked very grim, but it looked like it was just a really well-produced, like true crime documentary, right? So we have this to look forward to in May. We also had the film Sugar, premiere its trailer, and we got to see this. This is based on a true story where these two like influencers become like the center of this drug trafficking case, but it looked really interesting, and we had there's some Canadian talent in there as well too. There's lots. There was a lot that happened at this event, and any other standouts for you guys that come to mind?
Well, for me, I think seeing Kids in the Hall coming back, and actually, because I remember them, like I didn't grow up with them, but I remember the times that I would see them. During the 90s, they were funny, and they did have that CBC look, but now their approach is more cinematic and more like visually entertaining, which is really nice to see. There's a Tragically Hip documentary that's coming out in the next
2024.
2024.
And they were there.
Yeah, and they were there. I think the investment Amazon Prime is putting into Canadian content is amazing. I think it's an obligation for a lot of these streamers to continue to invest in the countries that they're streaming in, like Netflix and Amazon Prime, even Disney Plus. This is what really connects you as like this big corporation, because a lot of times when you're this big corporation, you get disconnected. You just make these big fanciful films or series, and you don't really have a connection with the people who are watching it. So making this content that is Canadian based, Canadian owned, Canadian produced, and acted is essential for those streaming platforms to continue their growth in that area.
Yeah.
And I think it's fantastic. And I love the investment, and I hope they continue doing this. And, a lot of other streamers take note and continue and do it as well.
Yeah, so this is very similar to like this event, like what an upfront is, where we see like CTV upfronts or CBC, like they'll give you a taste of what's to come. This is the first time Prime Video has done it, and I really hope they continue to do it. I did want to give a shout out to the show Three Pines, which stars Alfred Molina, which is going to be coming out. It's a crime drama series that was filmed in Quebec. That's going to be coming out next year, and then The Sticky, which is starring Jamie Lee Curtis. So we're also getting Canadian content that's attracting a lot of names and big names outside of Canada. When you think of Canada and the films and shows that I'll shoot here, so many of the movies and shows that you love are made here. And we always make that joke that Canada never gets to play itself in films. It never does. But we're seeing, I think, a resurgence of Canada playing itself, like with Turning Red and Man from Toronto, which we'll be talking about a little bit more. Anything else stand out from this event for you, Shay, or any other thoughts on this event?
It was definitely getting to see kind of Canadian media there, and just to get an idea as to the commitment that at least Amazon has made, because you're right, we're so used to kind of getting that really shitty end of the stick sometimes, or being like, hey, we're gonna make a lot of Canadian content, but it may not look the greatest. But everything that I saw at the Prime event was like, wow, they've put a lot of work in there. They put a lot of effort into here. They want to make not just content for Canada, but for the rest of the world with the Canadian name attached to it. And I think that was what made me the most excited about the whole thing. Having those celebrities come out and just kind of talk about their experience being a part of this also showed a great level of commitment. It's crazy to think that we have Alfred Molina starring in a show that's, Canadian based, to have Jamie Lee Curtis executive producing a show that's Canadian based. So all these great things are showing that there is a bit more of a commitment to Canada. And I know that, this year especially, we're getting some great Canadian based content. Like we had Turning Red this year, totally based in Toronto. We're going to be getting to it soon, but Man from Toronto, whether that's going to be a good movie or not, it's still a movie about Toronto and has an A-list cast attached to it as well. So There's definitely a lot more, awareness being brought to Canada. I know right now I spoke specifically about Toronto, and I think everyone in Canada always goes, Torontonians always think about Torontonians. But this is the start. We kind of have to branch out, and then we'll talk about everywhere else. We'll see a lot more shows based in Alberta. We'll be seeing shows in Vancouver. We'll be seeing shows in the rest of Canada as well. So
give me a show in Nunavut. I would love to learn more about Nunavut.
Give me a show in Halifax.
Give me a Euphoria in Nunavut.
Euphoria and Nunavut.
Well, specific, I'll be honest with you. They just can't have trouble sleeping because it's daytime all the time.
Yeah. No, but I need like some dramatic Euphoria style elements, but in a Nunavut
they're cold
environment.
Okay.
All right. But that's cool. I mean, I'm down, and like Shay said, like there's lots I think to look forward to this year and next year and the years moving forward. And I just hope, like we've all been saying on this, that other streamers take notice of this. I know streamers in Canada also have to have a certain amount of Canadian content, so why not invest where you're making all the shows already? We see a show like The Boys, all shot in Toronto. That show is so unapologetically Toronto. Every single shot in that movie, I'm like, oh, there's Young and Dundas. There's Roy Thompson Hall. There's Adelaide.
They need a Canadian hero or villain.
They need one.
And
it's produced by Seth Rogen, and it's like this show cannot be more Canadian, but it's not Canada. It's just so funny,
right?
It's just so funny where we are. But yeah, it was a great event, and again, thank you so much to Prime Video for inviting us. We had a great time, and it was a big milestone for us too. I think just being there with all the other media outlets, it was awesome seeing that.
Yeah,
it was awesome being there.
I think that was the biggest one for us too. Like just being able to be a part of it and just verifying ourselves and what we're doing and our investment into this world and the Canadian media world as well. It just shows a lot to us, which is great.
Yeah.
Our third news story and some sad news: passing of Gilbert Gottfried from a long-term illness at 67. Best known for his role as Iago in Aladdin, Problem Child movies, and the Aflac Duck. Very, very sad, very, very sudden. I don't know if you guys have anything to say about his passing, but he was always part of my childhood growing up because he had that voice, that very particular voice that you could pick out from a crowd, and he had that look. And I always remember watching him in Problem Child, and he was always just the dude that gets murked by this kid.
Murked,
but yeah, it's just sad. It's sudden. It's tough. But I don't know if you guys have anything else to say.
He's just an iconic. He had one of the most iconic voices in Hollywood, and obviously, it's sad anytime we see the passing of someone that we're so used to hearing in our homes and loving the entertainment they give us. And obviously, he was a brilliant comic as well, and it's definitely sad to see him go. But again, the only comfort, or the most comforting thing in this, is that we're left with the legacy of the shows and the movies and the comedy that they leave behind, right?
Yeah, he was an absolute icon. I mean, Gilbert Gottfried, growing up in the 90s and early 2000s is a voice and name you hear about a lot. So, Iago is such a synonymous character. Iago wouldn't be Iago without Gilbert Gottfried. Like that, you couldn't make that character otherwise, just like Genie and Robin Williams. So
definitely.
Yeah, this was sad. This was sad because it's funny, he was just in Toronto, I think a week or two before he passed. And he did a show here. So yeah, very sad.
Let's move on to some quick updates. Percy Jackson's Disney Plus series cast Adam Project star Walker Scobell in lead role. Robbie Amell, Menger Zhang, Hugh Skinner, and Christelle Elwyn have been cast in The Witcher Season 3. And Sony sells Man from Toronto to Netflix, which is what we were kind of alluding to in our previous conversation, which is interesting and strange that they chosen this route. I remember actually when this was filming, I was driving and I passed like an actual scene with Kevin Hart, and I think it was just Kevin Hart in that scene, but it was just like, that was before the pandemic. That was 2019. This movie has been on the back burner for a very long, very, very long time.
Yeah, and then I think they started they were doing reshoots and stuff last year, because I remember they were shooting, I think in Milton, they were doing some shots for and everything.
They've been shooting, I'd say, pretty much I think end of 2019 or at least 2020 they were shooting.
Yeah. And then but it's interesting too. It's another Toronto-based movie that's being sold to a streamer, which is or being sent to a streamer, which is which is interesting.
It's sad, but it also, I think, if I can take my bias out of it here, Sony loves selling a lot of their movies that won't, do financially well in theaters to Netflix. They have a great partnership with them. And if we really think about it, again, we haven't seen anything from Man from Toronto. But comedies, especially right now during the pandemic, are not selling like hotcakes. So they might find more success on Netflix for sure. Netflix is an interesting place as well, because again, Netflix, the conversation lasts for about a week or less, and then people move on. So curious to see how this kind of goes. Hopefully it's a good movie.
But I think Kevin Hart films especially do really well on Netflix.
They do.
So I think Netflix saw this, and Sony has sold a couple of their films to Netflix now. Most recently, I think being The Mitchells versus the Machines. There could be some other ones. So I'm not surprised that this happened, because like Shay said, a lot of comedies do their best numbers on streaming services now, because people just want to put on a comedy and have a good time. I will say, though, some really cool news out of this. Robbie Amell and Menger Zhang, who both two people who are connected to our show with, Robbie Amell we had on our show last year, and Young Lee, who's married to Menger Zhang, who also briefly cameoed in our interview with him
behind the scenes
for the Shang-Chi behind the scenes, was on our show. It was cool. It's cool seeing them do well, and it's great seeing Menger out there getting more roles, because I can't believe Shang-Chi was her first acting gig, and she was so good in that movie. So it's awesome to see her, joining the Witcher world with Henry Cavill, who is doing really well with that world too.
Mm-hmm. Even I want to mention Walker Scobell, who's we saw him in Adam Project, and he really shined in that movie, stole a lot of the scenes to get his own Disney Plus series, which is that Percy Jackson's based on the Percy Jackson books, I guess. But yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm going to kick it off to Shabazz for some box office.
Cha-ching.
It's so creepy the way you did that.
That's a very like
diva
way of saying.
You know why? The reason why is because we don't have official numbers. You know, it is Easter Sunday. He has risen, and unfortunately, the box office has not risen yet. So we don't have official numbers for the box office at the moment. But we can kind of go based off of some predictions at the moment.
I thought you were going to say something like, Jesus may be alive, but the Fantastic Beast is dead.
I debated kind of toying around, but I feel like we'll have Snyderverse fans on us already for this episode. I don't need the Christians and the Catholics after me this month as well.
Or the Fantastic Beast fans if they're out there.
I'll be honest, Daniel, spoiler alert, not many. So let's get into what's going on here. This is from Rebecca Rubin of Variety. Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore, the third entry in the Harry Potter franchise spin-off series, is expected to debut at least 40 million from 4,200 North American theaters. Those ticket sales should be enough to surpass the competition unless last weekend's champion Sonic the Hedgehog 2 powers to another strong turnout at the movies. The Paramount's kid-friendly sequel opened last weekend to a huge 72 million, and it could add another 30 to 40 million in its second outing. So it's going to be close for sure. This week is what we're seeing, but I feel like Fantastic Beasts just by a hair will kind of surpass it, but it's going to be super close. And I think what we need to focus on here is how devastatingly disappointing and sad that a franchise that is connected to the Wizarding World could debut so low and so close to comparison to another film that's on its second week.
Yeah, and I mean, let's look at, if we look at Fantastic Beasts open to 74 million, which is a great opening weekend, but it's for a new franchise, but it's not Harry Potter numbers. And then you have Crimes of Grindelwald, which opened to 62 million, and now we have The Secrets of Dumbledore opening to 40. It's like, this is a steep decline each and every time. And the Crimes of Grindelwald, like typically we see sequels making more the sequels making more opening weekend than their predecessors. And this is a steep decline, lower and lower and lower. And this isn't just like, this factoring the pandemic, sure. But even then, Fantastic Beasts wasn't lighting the world on fire or wasn't really exciting a lot of people and Harry Potter fans. And here we are with this. We spoke a lot about this in our review, so definitely go check out our review of The Secrets of Dumbledore. But there's not a lot to be excited about if you're a Harry Potter fan right now. Like, I have a better time. The only thing Crimes of Grindelwald and Secrets of Dumbledore made me want to do is rewatch the original films, not stay and invest my time in these new ones.
And that's the thing. Like when we finished, I'll be honest, it's been a few days since you watched Secrets of Dumbledore, but I can't remember a single thing from that movie. I couldn't recall the events of that film. It has not placed a single hold in my mind at all.
Mm-hmm.
No. Went. And it's like, you have this branding of Fantastic Beasts, which isn't a great... Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them is a great, maybe, first movie. But to call this movie... It's like the titles of these films are contradictory, like Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald, Fantastic Beasts, The Secrets of Dumbledore. Like, these things don't align. They're not aligning. And like we said in our review, it just feels like you're trying so hard to connect the Fantastic Beasts, Newt Scamander worlds into these Harry Potter backstory that it's just so strange. And again, it's another Warner Brothers movie that's like, let's have this weird political thing in it. It reminded me so much of Batman vs. Superman. I'm like, why do we have this weird political thing going on right now? Like, this isn't fun.
It reminded me of Rise of Skywalker. It was just like making it up as it went.
Yeah. Shay, you were going to say something. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say that you're absolutely right. Like when you have this third movie, I think had the loosest connection to Fantastic Beasts. It was so appalling when you're looking at the movie. You're like, so far there are no beast related things in this movie, but the movie tries to shoehorn a plot device involving a creature, and it just felt silly. It felt like, this is how you're going to tie the world together. This is how you're going to force a beast into this movie. It made no sense. It was actually stupid.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, the drunk uncle. Warner Brothers. The drunk uncle. Just stumbling in and just shooting out movies without any rhyme or reason.
Yeah.
What'd you think? I was gonna say.
I think shooting, and I was like, oh god, where's Uncle?
Oh no, we're gonna move on to some trailers. Got a bunch of trailers. I'm gonna go through them and then we'll talk about them. Stranger Things season 4. Crimes of the Future, which is a David Cronenberg directed film starring Viggo Mortensen, Lea Seydoux, and Kristen Stewart. Marcel the Shell with Shoes from A24. Operation Mincemeat, Netflix film, World War II drama starring Colin Firth. Paws of Fury, The Legend of Hank, which is an animated animal sci-fi flick starring Michael Cera and Samuel L. Jackson.
Samurai, not sci-fi.
Sorry, samurai.
It's a sci-fi samurai.
No science fiction in this one.
Well, these animals are talking, so there is a sci-fi element
That's
to
fiction.
it, right?
My dog talks.
Yeah,
Daniel, come in here. Come in here and argue with Anthony.
We got The Duel, which is a dark comedy starring Karen Gillan and Aaron Paul. Kids in the Hall, which we talked about, which will be an Amazon Prime series starring the original cast. And Senior Year, which is a Netflix comedy starring Rebel Wilson. Quite a bit of trailers. I think the first and foremost one we're going to talk about is Stranger Things season 4. That trailer came out, was it last week?
Yeah, earlier
trailer.
This week.
We know there's going to be 2 more seasons this season and another one, which is going to be a culmination of one big show.
Yep. And we're going to get spin-offs too eventually.
We're going to get spin-offs. Each episode is like an hour long. I'm going to ask Shay, how did he feel about this season 4 trailer?
So, for a while, I'd say I was I was kind of at peace with Stranger Things. Season 3 ended, and it's been 40 years, I think, since that season ended. So I was like, oh, okay, like season 4 comes, sure, why not? And then we got that first teaser, like way back, of Hopper just in Russia. Who knows what he's doing? Kind of a bad place to be right now. Just kind of getting things ready. And then we got another teaser, but this trailer. Man, this trailer was hot. Like this, I really liked this trailer. It was super cool. It got me really, really pumped, and it kind of gave me a different direction of what the series is going for. It almost feels like now it's going full blown horror, where before they definitely, dipped their toes into it. But this feels like, it's like an actual horror movie. It's got that haunted house creepy effect. It's got this creepy, character at the end who I think is the dude from season 3, the brother. But man, this looks really cool. They definitely do look really old, though, the kids now. Like I think some of them have kids of their own at this point.
Yeah, 100%. They definitely look older. 100%.
Yeah. But
they have that haunted house. It kind of reminds me of It. It reminds me of like Rosemary's Baby and The Exorcist. Like it kind of gives me those vibes. It gave me those vibes, house,
exactly. Yeah. It looks really cool, and I think it looked very intense. There's a scene where they're flying a plane or something. Like, hey, if chipmunks can fly planes, then why can't we have Stranger Things fly planes? That's what I say.
True. That's what that's the motto.
Yeah.
This show, it looks great. Again, it's been so long. Stranger Things season 3 came out in 2019, our first year of this show.
We were young. We were as young as them when the show came out.
We were. We have kids of our own now.
As Hopper.
Yeah, and Shay, and that's a great point, Anthony. Like, Shay mentioned that Hopper teaser trailer. You know what year that came out? In February 2020. Yeah. Over 2 years ago. Pandemic. Over 2 years ago, we got a teaser for this season, and now it is finally coming out very soon, next month. I think it looks great. I think it's everything you want Stranger Things to be, but I'm also in that place where I'm like, it's been a long time. I've lost that excitement level for it, but I know once I start watching the show, I'll be excited again. But like going into it, I'm just like kind of waiting for it to happen now.
Yeah, like it's seeing this series come to an end. I'm super excited for. I'm super when a movie or a series like this takes its time coming out and actually focusing on the characters and focusing on the story elements. I get super excited for it. Because that they're spending all their time making this happen and not rushing it to production. But yeah, the trailer for me was fantastic. There's like this necromancer dude that's seems like he's coming out of that world and going to be the main antagonist for this group of kids. I just hope to see them all together again. Like I was telling you the other day that I'm not really happy when stories that involve groups of people, for instance, like Star Wars or even Harry Potter, they all go and do their separate stories within the story. I just want them to be together because I have fun like that. It reminds me of the Goonies. The Goonies never broke apart. They all stuck together as a team. And
Season 3, they were spread out a lot.
Season 3, they were really spread out for sure. But I hope they stick together. I know it's a big cast, but I would love them to be all as one. Any other trailers that stand out? I'm gonna say Marcel the Shell with Shoes. Huge trailer for me. Fantastic. It's an A24 production. It looks like it's animated or stop motion.
Yeah.
Starring this shell that goes on an adventure of a lifetime, and it's so cute, and it just lives in this real world. It watches 60 Minutes, I think it's just.
I think it's going to turn dark though. Like I think there's going to be like a turning point for this movie. You don't have A24 produce this film, and it not turn into something.
They've made nice things.
What have they made that's not a little sad?
Look, if you watch the first
dark.
half of, if you watch certain minutes of Midsummer, it's really, really sweet.
Yeah, it's a really sweet story. Yeah, there's definitely going to be something. There's going to be a weird, fucked up element in this movie.
No, it's going to be
sure.
No, man.
It's going to be sweet.
All right, guys. You think this is going to be a kids movie? This is going to be their A24's first kids movie?
Just
why not?
Of course, sex every few minutes in the movie. It's
a shell, man. It's a seashell.
Yeah, don't ruin Anthony's Shell movie. I've never seen Anthony, by the way, this excited about anything in my life. Like, there's Batman, and then there's this Marcel the Shell with Shoes. And I'm not gonna lie, Anthony, I'm with you because this trailer, it really got to me. It made me
bumping.
It was bumping 100%.
Yeah, and it's also based on a short film, right? That came out.
Yeah.
10 years ago almost, or more than 10 years ago, and then now it's a feature-length film.
Who's voicing Marcel the Shell again with Shoes?
Jenny Slate.
That's it. And we love Jenny Slate here on the show.
We do. She also is a co-story writer on it.
Yeah, she was also great in something that we watched a lot or loved, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Who, if you haven't seen that film yet, what the hell are you doing? What you need to stop.
What are you doing with your life?
Pause this episode right now, because I guarantee you it'll be still there when you come back. Go and watch the movie, even if the movie hasn't started yet. Go to a theater and wait.
Yeah. I just want to give a quick shout out to Crimes of the Future. David Cronenberg making a movie again with that cast. I'm stoked. It looks like it's going to be fucked
Fantastic
up.
Beasts in the Crimes of the Future, or did they change
I'm not going to lie. I was looking at it. I'm like, is this a Fantastic Beasts spinoff?
Dude,
but yeah,
it's so fucked up.
It looks super fucked up. It looks that I heard the ending people were walking out of. I'm here for it. I love David Cronenberg and a fellow Canadian. Yeah, David Cronenberg movie.
I would never have expected that.
But wait, we shall see. We shall see when it comes out. And again, he's another Canadian just icon. So love it.
Another trailer that I liked this week was The Duel, starring Karen.
Or Just Duel.
Oh, sorry, Duel.
Yeah,
starring Karen Gillan. She plays
like a clone version of herself.
No, but what's her character in the Marvel universe?
Thing. She plays
Nebula.
Oh, Nebula. Yeah. So she plays. So Karen's character is dying, and I guess when you're dying, you can clone yourself. But then she realizes that she's not dying, so now her clone has been created, and they have to fight each other. That's like part of the policy of having a clone. They have to fight to the death.
They have a duel, yeah.
And Aaron Paul's in it, who teaches her how to like battle people or fight. Same guy, same director who directed The Art of Self-Defense. So it is
the Jesse Eisenberg movie, right?
Yeah, which was really funny. Probably a dark comedy as well. But yeah,
it looks fun. Clones are in right now, man. A lot of clones.
Yeah, clones I feel like clones are coming back. Arnold Schwarzenegger, the clones. I'm a clone, you're a clone, everyone's a clone. That's the thing with clones. You just don't know. Do you kill clone? Even though
you can't. I would never be able to trust a clone of myself.
Never come across a clone.
I know myself.
Never come across a clone yet.
Yeah.
I know myself. I wouldn't trust myself.
Yeah.
See, that's surprising, Shay, because that says a lot to us. Because we think we know Daniel, but we clearly don't.
I would.
It's not that. No. Wait, you guys know me, but you don't know the. Hold on. What?
Wait. Sorry,
I misunderstood the question.
What's the question again? Are we saying if we'd kill Daniel? Because I already said yes.
No. How do you know you haven't killed me already?
Damn. You look dead inside. Why are you crying, Daniel?
I'm okay. It's fine. But yeah, it's clones are interesting.
Yeah,
I want to trust.
I would
clones
kill
of us
your
either.
clones. Like I would know which one is your clone as well.
How would you know?
Like you
They're
couldn't.
exactly the same.
But here's the thing, though.
But they don't have the same
we
memories.
would be able to. We'd be able to, like, I wouldn't be able to kill my other clone, myself, but I'd be able to kill your clones.
Yeah.
So we would have to trade off and kill each other's clones.
What if
live
we
out that
like?
fantasy?
What if we like the clone more than the real person?
Then we'd kill the real one. So Anthony, I'm sorry. I feel like your clone would be cooler.
It reminds me of the end of like Scott Pilgrim when he's just like walking, like hanging out with the dark version of himself. He's like, yeah, man. So like, we'll hang out, we'll get something to eat. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great sequence. Great reference.
Out this week, we got The Batman, which will be on iTunes and HBO Max and Crave, all in 4K, all in Dolby Vision, all with extras if you buy the iTunes version. I think there's a specific commentary track, commentary track,
exclusive
just
to iTunes.
for the iTunes purchase. Go buy it. It is the best movie. You know, I was looking at Oscar predictions of 2023, I guess, like what they're predicting for 2022, 2023. The Batman's not on it, and I'm very disappointed.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry yet.
I wouldn't worry yet. It's just predictions.
I know.
Predictions are stupid.
Yeah.
We also got The Northman. We have a review out for it. What are you doing? Go listen to it. If not, watch the film, then go listen to it. We all enjoyed it. Norse mythology, some really deep David Eggers film.
Or Robert Eggers.
Robert Eggers film. They dives into like some real crazy stuff.
Yep.
We got The Bad Guys. Ocean's 11 meets some animals.
We'll have a review out for this week for that one.
We have and then we also have Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
It's a lot of the movies, eh?
Nicolas Cage.
It's like The Batman, The Northman, The Bad Guys, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
That's like that's the whole title of the film, by the way. That's just one movie.
Yeah.
It's like
we'll have a review for that out this week as well.
Yeah, on Tuesday.
I'm just glad we've seen all these films and we have these reviews in the bank right now because, oh boy, like that'd be a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Glad it's already.
What are we watching? We're going to start off with Shay. What are you watching?
Well, you know, we haven't been on a main episode in a bit of a while now. I think one or 2 weeks now has been. How long has it been?
2 weeks. 2 weeks off.
But there's a lot that we have in here. So Sonic 2, Massive Talent. Where did my list go here? The Northman.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. The Northman, The Bad Guys, Secrets of Dumbledore. I finally finished The Dropout, and I need to gush about this show just a little bit here. It was fantastic. Like, it was so damn good. And I think I'm so bloody impressed by Amanda Seyfried. I think she was so phenomenal. And it didn't hit me as to how good she was until I started watching videos of Elizabeth Holmes after, because I didn't remember too much about Elizabeth Holmes. I mean, I'd watched a bit when everything was happening on the news, but it didn't resonate with me because I was like, oh, I'm going to move on past this. But going back and rewatching a lot of her old interviews, Amanda Seyfried nailed the voice, the mannerisms of the character as well. And the show is just very gripping, especially the second half of the series is so intense that I was like, I wanted to keep pushing through all the episodes. But man, what a phenomenal show. Naveen Andrews is fantastic in it as well. There's a great cast, great show. If you haven't seen it, it is 8 episodes and it is 100% worth your time. Really recommend it. It's on Hulu or Disney Plus Stars in Canada. Barry season 3 is coming out soon. I want to say when? Do we know when it's coming out again?
We don't know. Soon, right? I don't know. It's soon.
But I started watching that. Can't really say too much about it than
April 24th, so next week.
Okay, cool. So it's coming out soon. So yeah, it's fantastic so far. Really excited to dive deeper into it once the show is actually out. We have Is It Cake? I don't know why. I spent about I watched episode 1, and Daniel, I mentioned.
I warned you, man. I warned you.
You were like, it's weird, but you can't take your eyes off of it. So I watched episode 1, and I was like, oh, I bloody hell, I can take my eyes off this thing. And I didn't like it at all. But then I was like, you know what? Let me try again. Let me try one more time. I ended up doing about 6 episodes of it, and I was like, hate watching it. Like, I was like, this is so stupid, but I couldn't stop watching it. And I eventually had to stop at episode 6 because I was I was done with the show. I couldn't do it anymore, and I was like, "There's 2 more episodes left. I can't. I don't care who wins at this point." Also, there's a new show coming out on Netflix called Bullshit the Game, and it's gonna be with Howie Mandel. I watched about a couple episodes of that, and can't really say anything about that as well. Finally watched X, and I know that you guys, I wasn't able to be there that day. I was not feeling well, but you guys told me, you know what? It's one of those movies that it lingers in your mind, and when you walked out of it, you were like, "Oh, that's okay." But then you guys were like, "No, this is phenomenal." And I 100% agree with you. I think as soon as the film ended, I was like, "Yeah, that was really good," but it's okay a little bit as well. And then as soon as like an hour passed, I was like, "Holy shit! No, this movie is fantastic." Like I was hooked. I loved it. I don't want to go into spoilers, but it's available to rent right now through a streaming service, through whatever rental services are out there online.
Yeah, Cineplex, iTunes,
Vudu, Judo, whatever. All fantastic. Like, just go ahead, give it a listen. Either give it a watch. Sorry, if you give it a listen, it's just screaming. To be honest with you, and I don't know if that's gonna. I don't know if that's gonna really.
There's a lot of like screaming and moaning.
A lot of screaming and moaning, yeah. But man,
perfect Easter film,
Yeah, perfect Easter film. It was great though. I absolutely loved it. It was so good. I'm excited to eventually own it when it's available as well. And I have put in, I think, like 40 hours into Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. I finished all the main stories last night, so I got to revisit The Rise of Skywalker, and it reminded me of immediately how bad the movie was. Like, I've been going back and replaying all the other stories in the Skywalker Saga games to 100% them, but I'm having so much trouble doing that with Rise of Skywalker because the missions are just not compelling at all. But I think that's pretty much about me.
We've been putting a lot of hours into the Rise of. We've been putting a lot of hours into the Rise of Skywalker, the 3 of us. So I've been enjoying playing that at nighttime. The 3 of us playing that.
Yeah, it's like our little like Skywalker, like Star Wars
nights,
marathons.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun playing them.
What about you, Daniel?
We've been off for a couple of weeks, so a lot's been going on. I will talk about the things like that I want to focus on. I did turn another year older while we were off as well too, and we had I want to thank Shay and for planning a nice surprise party and for everyone being there and keeping it a secret from me. That was a lot of fun.
Tell me about how I had to get you there.
Yeah, I mean, Shay just like was really trying to like spread the timeouts that day. So he was like, it just happened to be it was April. My birthday's on April 3rd, but the party was April 2nd. So yeah, Daniel, it's really important. I would love to break my fast for Ramadan with you. It's really important. The first fast to break it. The first fast of Ramadan, you break it with somebody who's not of the Muslim faith. And I'm like, okay, outside of Islam. I'm like, Shay, you're my best friend. I'll do it for you, no problem. And then it was a surprise party, and it turned out to be amazing. So it was just really funny how that all went down, and it was great. It's been great. I consider the whole month of April to be my birthday, so I'm still riding on a high off of that party. That was a lot lot of fun.
It's so funny how gullible we are. I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I'm like,
it's your,
then
it's
when
your,
you look at it, it's like, what do they do in countries where there's no
there's no people of other faiths?
No, there's always somebody. But also, I apologize to my fellow.
They're just so busy that day. You're like, man, the Catholics and other Muslim
I apologize,
of full countries.
I apologize to my fellow Muslims out there for using our religion as bait for Daniel.
Dude, but I was telling us stories.
I was Old Testamenting them. I was like, yeah, well, I was Abraham, I believe.
And I'm like, I don't know what to trust anymore.
I learned a lot about things that are not true, and now I just question anything. Maybe it was Shay's clone. I just don't trust him.
I did convince you guys to do that.
It's part of it. Part of it. But that day we also watched Sonic 2, which you could catch a review for. Massive, Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. You could catch a review on Tuesday. Polar Bear, you're going to hear me talk a lot about later this week on Friday on Earth Day. So make sure you tune in for that interview. The Northman, we have a review out too. There's a lot of the things that reviews are out for, but I did want to say Everything Everywhere All at Once. I did get to watch one more time. I took my dad to watch it. What a film. What an amazing movie. Go watch it. It's number 2 after the Batman for me this year. And I'm really thinking there's not going to be anything that's going to change my 1 and 2 position for the rest of the year, but we'll see. And then, like I said, Lego Star Wars, The Skywalker Saga has been so fun to play and go through. So I've been enjoying going through that with you guys.
For me, I've been watching quite a bit of stuff. Got Sonic 2, Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, The Northman, The Secrets of Dumbledore, The Bad Guys, which you will see reviews up for in the coming week. Put on Dope Sick, which is on Disney Plus, a TV series starring Michael Keaton about the opioid crisis in the States. I would recommend you watch Crime of the Century before you dive into Dope Sick, just so you kind of get an idea of how like wild the story is about the opioid scandal, specifically with OxyContin, and how it just kept growing and growing and growing, and the addiction levels getting higher and higher. It's actually super sad. We were battling cartels over heroin, but the biggest cartel was, living in their backyard. It just is absolutely tragic. So watch Crime of the Century, then go into Dope Sick, because Dope Sick is, we'll say, a dramatized version of those story elements where you learn about the pharmaceutical family that built OxyContin and who affected, and the doctors and the FBI agents and all the people, the lawyers, the sales reps that were all part of this fucking drug that, killed a lot of people. Put on Luther, which is Idris Elba's TV series before he became Idris Elba that we know. Really, really, really good series. Wish we saw more of him in these roles, in dramatic roles, than these action movies that we see him with, Fast and the Furious, even Suicide Squad. Like I like, he's okay in Suicide Squad, but like I rather see him portray his dramatic side more often. And I think we're missing that in a lot of our actors. And I feel like they just go into the superhero world and then they stick with that for a good 10 years and it consumes them. I think, Luther is an example of how, here's an actor who is not known at this point, has his own show. I think it was a BBC original at that time. Really, really great storylines involving crime and investigation and just corruptness of the British, I guess, cops. What are they? Are they like GCPD or NYPD, whatever they are in England? But I know I mentioned
just police.
I know, but what's their name? What's their like the police of what? EPD,
EPD,
English
LPD,
police?
London Police Department.
Oh yeah, that's probably what it is. But yeah, really, really good series. Really, really
Luther's
well
great.
shot. And Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. Enjoying it, playing it with my friends. My favorite.
Just say us, man.
Oh no, you're my colleagues.
Oh yeah, okay.
It's just myself and my imaginary friends.
Oh, okay.
They're named Dangle and Shay.
Oh, okay.
We're just talking.
There are clones.
The clone version. Really digging it. There's so much to do in this video game.
It's so much to do. God.
So many bricks and so many things to destroy, but I'm enjoying every single moment of it, every single saga. I think the guys who developed this game did a really good job of pacing the story.
Traveler's Tales. Yeah, they're great.
Tales. Fantastic game. Recommend you buy it. Anything else before we wrap up today's show?
Yeah. So I got the official numbers. They just came in for the box office.
Hot off the press. Hot off the wire.
So again, Rebecca Rubin. Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore has opened with a domestic box office total of 43 million. So
boom, 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 boom.
Definitely a step down for sure. You had Crimes of Grindelwald, like I said, with 62, and the first one with 74. Sonic 2 has pulled in about 30 million, so about a 58% drop. And you also have Father Stew. This is the faith-based Mark Wahlberg film with, 5 million this week. And it opened on Wednesday, so that's 8 million in total. So it's opened.
Yeah, and I think the budget was like 40 million or something.
Yeah,
like
Mark
that
Wahlberg put a lot of money into this film. Mel Gibson produced movie. So yeah, there's that. Lost Weekend. I'll say The Lost City, not Lost Weekend. The Lost City is third place this weekend. So it's doing great, and we have a review up for that as well. and Everything Everywhere All at Once, is expanding every couple of weeks here. So far in its total, it's made about 17.6. That number needs to be a lot higher, but it's in fourth place this weekend with 6.1. So I'm hoping that word of mouth keeps spreading, and that the movie just keeps expanding to more and more theaters.
Definitely.
Thank you, Shay. As always, you catch a brand new episode of the Movie Podcast every single Monday and watch throughout the weeks for our review episodes. We have a lot of review episodes happening this week. Don't forget to follow us at the Movie Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Letterboxd. Don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/TheMoviePodcast. Don't forget to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We're still trying to hit the 200 mark. We're very close. But after the show, go to our podcast page on Apple Podcasts, scroll across the 5 stars, swipe across it, and leave us a review. You could also do a review on Spotify for us as well. You could join our Discord channel and write into the show at hello@TheMoviePodcast.ca. Again, all those notes and links are all in our feed. That was This Time with the Movie Podcast.
And we'll see you next.